30 robot fighting teams are preparing to do battle. The good, the bad and the ugly from 2 decades of robot combat return for gory metal glory alongside newbie teams hungry for victory. The new arena is primed full of improved hazards, the pit, fire, flipper and spikes, as well as the arena muscle, the deadly house robots. Through grueling heats, the competition will be whittled down until only the strongest survive. But which robot has what it takes to be crowned Grand Slam champion? Let's find out. Apollo are in the pit. Thor have won this final fight. I don't believe it. Fightforce getting another good grip on Carbide. Storm 2's levelled over the pit, and there they go. The floor flippers just ejected Tornado out of the arena. They're stuck. They can't get out of there, and Thermidor 2 has taken the win and that place in the grand final. It's been an amazing series, but our 5 finalists are Thor, Fightforce, Shadowcat, Chaos 2 and Thermidor, but we need a 6th, and for that we must have our 5 Robot Rumble featuring the runners-up from each heat at Apollo, Carbide, Storm 2, Tornado and Extremis 2. Hold on to your hats, this is going to be a wild ride.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
The 2 spinners, Carbide and Extremis 2, getting up to full speed and coming at each other there. But Storm 2 comes and breaks it up, taking Extremis off one way. Apollo going after old rival Carbide. There goes Tornado shooting across the arena. They faced the flipper of Apollo. Now Extremis is coming in on Tornado. There goes Storm 2 flying through the air. Now who's coming in? Carbide. I'm struggling to keep up already. Extremis hitting Tornado onto the flipper of Apollo, and Apollo some amazing flips early on. There were some amazing flips throughout their heat. Remember, it was their self-righting that took them out, but Extremis 2 bouncing off of that flipper, not really causing much damage, but trying all the same, trying their very best in fact to attack Apollo, a titan in true nature. Apollo missing that flip, Carbide spinning up. Storm 2, what are they doing? They're self-righting. They were on their back, but now they are the right way up and pushing Carbide into that CPZ. That's where Shunt is. Now coming in for an attack on Storm 2. Well, that was unexpected. Storm 2 getting some damage, but pushing Apollo into a sidewall. Apollo's trying to get off. We haven't seen much from Tornado recently. What's happened to them, I wonder? Apollo flying through the air. There's Tornado coming in for a side attack on Storm 2, waiting, hiding in the corner and waiting for an opportune moment to attack old rival Storm 2. Apollo successfully self-righting, and Sir Killalot is on its way in, and Apollo trying to flip Sir Killalot there but not managing it. Extremis spinning up, Carbide spinning up. Are we going to see a side-on attack from both sides? The 2 spinners ganging up against Apollo, who lands in the clutches of Sir Killalot. Oh, what a place to land, and there's some payback to be sought after here after their heat. Behind them, Extremis spinning up to speed and hitting Apollo on the underside. Now almost sort of piling up. The robots really caught on that lance as Apollo trying to self-right off. Storm 2 pushing Tornado into Apollo flipping, but flipping itself and now struggling to self-right again, and this is what we saw in their heat, and they're caught on their back. Carbide coming in for an attack on the bottom of Apollo, taking every opportune moment to get that spinner in. Extremis coming at Carbide now. These 2 Titan spinners doing a lot of damage to one another, maybe. Tornado coming into a ram on the back of Storm 2, and you can see Carbide is almost on the receiving end of that. The arena sidewall followed by Carbide, followed by Storm 2, followed by Tornado. The conga line reforming, and it's lovely to see some callbacks to earlier episodes. There goes Storm 2 flying through the air. Now Shunt coming in for another attack on Storm 2. Storm 2 self-righting once again. Storm 2 giving Tornado a piggyback, and Tornado flipped away. That is Roadhouse Robot, and here comes Sir Killalot. Now what will happen here? Flipping Tornado over, coming in for an attack on Extremis, or not really, just sort of sat there now. I think that's the end of Roadhouse Robot, not really much done there. Tornado just got turned over really, and that's what's happening to Storm 2 now by Apollo. Apollo managing to flip Storm 2, Storm 2 managing to self-right. Extremis in all of that managed to get overturned. Apollo flipping them. That was unwise because they're now righted and that spinner's up to speed again. Carbide at some point in all of this has been propped up against the wall, and I wonder, will they be able to get back down as how they went out in the pilots? Will Lightning strike twice? I know he's not competing in this series, but there we are. Storm 2 caught underneath Sir Killalot. Extreme is coming in, and in an interesting turn of events, Sir Killalot has had an interesting turn, and they've been flipped over. Oh, Tornado so close to going in the pit, and I can see the end game coming into play now. So very close was Tornado there. Storm 2 being flipped, and they're gone. They're out of the arena, and that's the second robot to fall in this mashup of a heat. I don't know what's happening in this fight, really. I'm just commenting on what's happening in front of me. Both Tornado and Apollo flipped just then. Carbide, they seem out of it. Extreme is spinning up. Tornado, oh, so close to the edge of the pit. They went out of the arena in their heat, caused by Floor Flipper. They'll want to avoid that, and there they go down the pit. They'll avoid it down there, but they won't get any further in this competition. Remember, this is the last chance for any robot to compete in the grand final, and what a fight to organise this. What a fight to choose who will be that last candidate for the final. Only a true Titan will go through. I've said already Apollo could be that, but they seem to be on their back and caught on the spikes. Extremists coming in for an attack as well. They proved very, very dangerous in their heat. Unfortunately taken out by Thermidor 2, as you saw in that little intro clip, but coming in as strong as they possibly can on the edge of Apollo. Apollo now being axed by Shunt. Now, can we see what's happening? No, it's all happening off screen. I don't know who the camera people are. They need firing. Now, can we see any life from Apollo? Yes, they've been flipped over, but they've been flipped once again on the Floor Flipper. They seem to be low on flips, low on CO2. Can they get back over? Extremist 2 spin up, hitting the back of Apollo. Apollo now on the flame pit, and there doesn't seem to be much life from them. Extremists, they think they've won it. They think they've won it. Do they want to check? I think they probably will. They want to win it outright. So pushing Apollo once again. Apollo now trying to self-right. I wonder if the flame pit was hindering their flipper. But no life in Apollo. And I think that is curtains for them. They're in the pit. Extremists 2 are the winner of the 5 Robot Rumble. What a fight. What a win for Extremists 2. Unlucky to the other competitors. Better luck next year. What an incredible way to start this, the grand final. We now have our 6th and final competitor for you. Extremist 2 takes that last spot and fills in the bracket ready for our grand final matchups. So just to remind you, the finalists are Thor, Bite Force, Shadowcat, Chaos 2, Thermidor 2 and Extremist 2. What a matchup, what a set of robots. All have great potential to win, and all will be sieged should they return next year. So now we must move on to our usual fight format. We start with our 2 group melees, the winners of which go through to the Heat semi-finals, there to battle it out for a place in tonight's grand final. Meanwhile, we go back to the redemption rounds to see who will be facing them and who will get a second shot at that semi-final position. You know the rest, so we're just going to crack straight on and introduce you to the first fight's 3 robots.
Chaos 2 Reaper.
Chaos 2 almost won in record time in their heat final. They had a very good heat on the whole, but did manage to get attacked quite a few times by Tornado in that heat final. Bullying is not tolerated by Chaos 2 though, and they had their payback in throwing Tornado onto the Floor Flipper, and the Floor Flipper finishing the job and getting rid of Tornado. What a flip that was. Chaos 2 could be one to watch in this fight.
Thor Xbox.
Thor takes flying lessons very seriously. Apollo managed to chuck them all around in their heat final, but unfortunately for Apollo, their self-righter wasn't working all that well, and a few good axe swings just as they were about to land meant Thor managed to stay on their wheels for the majority of the fight, something that Apollo could not do. Thor may be very lucky, we'll see.
Shadowcat. Lifter.
Shadowcat had something to prove after their Grand Slam Pilots defeat, but it was a game of ground clearance against Storm 2 in the heat final. They both managed to get flipped a few times, but Storm 2 managed to always ride on top of Shadowcat, and Shadowcat was always there to dominate them. Could be a dark horse in this grand final matchup. A prickly customer in the arena for the House Robots. We have the best of the scrap heap, Dead Metal. The tension levels are rising, the robots are preparing, we're about ready to begin.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Another case of how low can you go, and Shadowcat can go lower than Chaos 2, and that could prove pivotal in this fight. Thor taking the opportunity to attack both Shadowcat and Chaos 2 and removing that rear panel by getting the axe. We've seen that axe used as many different weapons, never as a crowbar before though. Now the axe coming in as an axe on the top of Chaos 2, Shadowcat getting in underneath Chaos 2 with Chaos 2 flipped once again and driving away. Shadowcat follows suit. Once again Shadowcat is in underneath Chaos 2 and Chaos 2 cannot do anything to try and combat Shadowcat, who is very, very low to the ground. Thor getting some good axe blows in on that rear systems, and I wonder, is that doing any damage to the flipper system on Chaos 2? Now hitting that front scoop of Shadowcat, I don't think they mind. That's probably the most well defended part of the robot. They can get in underneath Thor though, can Chaos 2, and George Francis will have to try and outdrive to manage it, but not managing it there, and Thor managing to get another axe blow in. Shadowcat just levering Thor onto the very edge of the floor flipper and managing to turn them onto their side. That's their weakest position to be in, and it's the position they struggle to self-right from most often. Both of them caught on the floor flipper. That was Thor and Chaos 2, and now Chaos 2 on their side, and another robot who gets stuck on their side. Shadowcat looking to line up a push. Thor has opened the pit, and now there's a gaping hole in the floor, and there goes Chaos 2. They'll be going through the redemption rounds, and I didn't expect that coming into this fight. Shadowcat really proving it has what it takes to go all the way this series, but so does Thor. The best that they've ever competed, I think. Thor being pushed around now by Shadowcat, both flipped on the floor flipper, but good tactics from Shadowcat, they can self-right. Thor, on the other hand, struggles now successfully self-righting, but it took them a little bit longer than it took Shadowcat. Shadowcat also struggled there, did you see? But being pushed, and it's Rogue House Robot, and here comes Dead Metal in for an attack on Thor, who just drives away. What is the point of having House Robots if the robots can just drive away? Yep, there we go. Shadowcat has turned Dead Metal onto its side, and yet another House Robot who is absolutely useless at their job. Now, Shadowcat and Thor caught on the floor flipper. Being pushed is Thor into the side wall, and Shadowcat trying to lift Thor over that side wall, but not quite successful because Thor has that very low centre of gravity. Shadowcat caught on the floor flipper, and that floor flipper is becoming vital in this fight. Both of these robots have very low ground clearances, and they're having to use that floor flipper to get an advantage. There you go, Shadowcat proving my point, and Thor being overturned but self-righting from it very well. Shadowcat in underneath Thor. Thor's trying to self-right off of Shadowcat. It's a good tactic, but they're wasting CO2 once again trying to do so. They could just wait. Pins only last 10 seconds. Remember, they're in C. It doesn't matter how long pins last because it's gone to the judges, and I feel this is going to be very close. Let's see if we can help these judges out, eh? So Shadowcat managing to flip Chaos 2 all around, really, and Thor also taking advantage, doing some damage on Chaos 2, so that will count in their favour. Shadowcat managing to overturn Chaos 2 once again. Both Chaos 2 and Thor caught on the floor flipper. Shadowcat pushed Chaos 2 down. Thor got hit on Shadowcat. Shadowcat flipped over the useless Dead Metal. Where are some more competent house robots when you need them? Give me Karma any day. This is going to be very close for the judges. So we have the judges' decision in, and it goes in favour of Shadowcat. So they will go through to the semi-finals free of charge, but Thor will have to go through redemption. Let's meet the teams in our next fight.
Extremis 2 Spinner.
Having just made it through that 5-robot rumble, Extremis 2 looked quite strong, but it is one more than the other robots have had to face, so will that play a part? They did manage to do some immense destruction in their heat, removing wheels, removing panels, and defeating the much-fancied Razor in a very controversial judge's decision. How will they fare in this fight, with even more at stake? Let's find out.
Fight Force Control Bot.
Control Bot by name, Control Bot by nature. This robot was incredible in their heat. They managed to do all sorts with Carbide, even almost push them in the pit, but no killer instinct, and that's something that they are definitely lacking that the other robots might well have. I wonder how well they'll do against two robots that have a grudge to settle.
Thermidor 2 Flipper.
Going into this heat, I didn't really have Thermidor ranked, but they proved themselves to be extraordinary competitors, putting Extremis 2 out in possibly the strangest way in the entire series. And that's not the first impossible thing they've done this series. They managed to flip a robot over that tall Lexan wall. Will they replicate it here? And in the arena for the House Robots, the Purple Peril herself, with a very devilish rear end. You just wait until she's had a curry. It's Matilda. A score settled then between Thermidor 2 and Extremis 2, and will Bite Force get caught up in the middle? No doubt, no doubt.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Extremis 2 very quick to spin up once again. They've done very well to do that every fight that they've been in. They got a little bit of a wiggle through the air before Bite Force came and broke the two kids up. Now, can Extremis come in for an attack? Yes, hitting the teacher there. Bite Force getting a blow to the sides from Extremis 2's spinner, and now Extremis 2 taking Thermidor for a little ride across the arena. They've been turned over, they've been turned lobster, if that is a weird version of that phrase, and now Extremis are being lifted, hoisted through the air and turned upside down by Bite Force. An excellent attack from them there. Bite Force always trying to find the gap to get a hold of in those spinners. They managed it with Carbide, they've managed it with Extremis. Extremis overturned and they can't do much from there, and I wonder how long it'll be before they are counted out. But Bite Force pushing them towards something. Are they pushing towards that arena button? Yes, and it's Roadhouse Robot, and Matilda has its sights set on Extremis, and just before Extremis could be counted out, they've been righted, and as almost a thank you, Extremis comes in to try and hit Matilda. Matilda now moving into that top CPZ. Bite Force and Thermidor continue their little tussle, and both been flipped on the floor flipper, landing on their backs. Extremis 2 watching on, coming in for an attack on Thermidor, because of course they are, and Thermidor having to self-right. Now, can Extremis do any damage to Thermidor? We know that they can remove wheels. They did so in their first melee, but not while they're being hoisted by Bite Force and being dropped once again on the flame pit on their backs, so they can't move them there. They're trying to spin up, but they won't be moving anywhere with it while they're upside down, but they've been righted once again by that Bite Force grappler. Had been flipped through the air by Thermidor 2, and quite a flip from them. Bite Force coming in once again, Extremis 2 hitting Bite Force away. Now Thermidor 2 coming in, and this very childish vendetta that they have. Oh my days! Extremis 2 teetered on the edge of the arena wall, and there goes a wheel from Thermidor once again. And those exposed wheels are the downfall of Thermidor 2, really. Bite Force now coming in on the back of Extremis. Extremis, with its spinner running, can relatively well stay on its wheels, but the floor flipper seeing to that, and now Bite Force coming in for a push on the arena wall, getting them righted, now turning them up again, and now they're pinned up against the wall and they're not getting down from there once again. So Bite Force have taken the win by knockout. Well, this is my favourite fight of the night so far. It was very well fought between all three of these machines. All three of them did damage and controlled and were aggressive. But in the end, Thermidor had a wheel removed and Extremis was propped up. Bite Force takes a good win. They're looking strong going forward. So just a visual confirmation that Bite Force was the winner of that fight, and they go through to the Heat semi-finals there to face the winners of the Redemption round, and it's them we turn to now, as Thor takes on Extremis 2 for a last shot at that semi-final position. This should be a really good fight between the Axebot and the Spinner. I don't dare call a favourite for this fight just in case I'm wrong, and in the arena for the House Robots, it's Matilda. A newbie team perhaps in Extremis 2, will they show inexperience? They haven't done so far, really.
3, 2, 1, activate!
Thor quickest out of the blocks. They are the faster of the two machines, top speeds of around 30 miles an hour. Extremis 2 spinning up that blade, and very dangerous is that blade when it's spinning, but Thor has managed to sort of grapple a hold of Extremis. This is a good tactic from them, and they've flipped him over. Now Thor can self-right from this position. Could this be the best tactics for facing Extremis 2? They seem to have got beached on the top of Extremis there. There we go, they're away, pushing him back onto the floor flipper, and they've been flipped and righted. Perhaps being a bit of a gentleman is Jason Marston and showing goodwill and good favours, and Extremis 2 paying that back by slamming into the rear of Thor and now the sides as well. Well, that's what you get for righting your opponent in a battle, I suppose. Extremis 2 coming round, spinning up once again. Thor is being pushed into the arena's side wall, very close to the arena button there, and that's just next to Matilda. If that had gone Rogue House Robots, we'd have seen robots flying. We already have seen robots flying, both caught on the floor flipper, and once again, Extremis 2 caught on their back. Thor making sure that any damage is good damage and aggression. Matilda this time has righted Extremis 2, getting very lucky with those rights. Spinning up again. For me, Thor on top of this stage. Thor coming in with an axe blow, stopping that spinner once again. Extremis 2 backing away, using their rear to sort of defend against Thor as they get to spin up. And it's quite an ingenious design, is that, so their weapon is protected and now being pushed. The axe has gone from Thor! The weapon, the whole system has gone from the top of Thor, and now Thor is just a wedge pusher bot. Oh dear, how on earth has that happened? Perhaps stresses over the entire series has caused Thor to be broken in such a way. I mean, Apollo was throwing them round fairly, Chaos 2 had a good few chucks as well in the last round, but Extremis 2 has done the deed and has taken that axe off and is now just butchering Thor. Thor just sitting and taking the blows, but now still mobile. They have to drive their way through the rest of this fight and are doing quite well and getting underneath Extremis with that front wedge, or those two little wedgelets at the bottom of Thor, but being hit once again by Extremis, trying to stop that spinner with their front end. I'll hit your face with my face. That seems like a good tactic. Extremis coming in on the back, trying to do some sort of damage, driving away, spinning up again. It's a good tactic we've seen, getting away and managing to get that weapon up to speed, ready to hit Thor once again. Thor just sort of sitting there and taking the blows. Extremis were caught on the floor flipper and landed directly on that axe blade. I wonder if that will have done any damage. I doubt it. Another flip from the floor flipper. They need to watch out for that. They can't self-right if they are overturned, and I don't think Thor is going to give them the opportunity again, not after this. There was an amazing hit from Extremis 2, and I think we're running down. Yes, there is cease, and it goes to the judges. What are those judges going to be looking at? Well, damage is not the only category on the board. Although Extremis 2 did manage to get that extraordinary hit, it's how well Thor did for the rest of that fight. And they did okay to carry on hitting Extremis. Extremis not overly controlled. This could go either way still. So the results are in. And the winner of this fight and going through to the semi-finals is Extremis 2. Unlucky for Thor. Hopefully we'll see them back next year. Now we move on to our second redemption round, where Chaos 2 will be going up against Thermidor 2. A battle of the flippers here. And please all rise for the member of the round table who scratched up the round table. It's the noble Sir Killalot.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Once again, whoever has the lowest ground clearance has the biggest advantage, and it seems like Thermidor 2 is just getting underneath Chaos 2, and this is a shocker at the very start of this fight. Thermidor not letting up. Chaos 2 caught on the floor flipper and flipped away. Now coming in behind Thermidor 2. That was quite a big flip. Now on their back, being flipped onto the pit. Chaos 2 driving backwards. Thermidor having to self-right. Now coming in once again, round the side. Chaos 2, no, that's now the weak spot. Thermidor 2, oh, a lovely pirouette. That's a 10 from Len, surely. Chaos 2 in underneath Thermidor 2. And once again, a robot has been flipped over the tall Lexan walls. Chaos 2 is through to that semi-final match. Wow. Well, Thermidor 2 pulled the same trick in their heat. It's only fitting that they should go out in the same way. Such a shame for the team from Norwich, but I hope we see them next year, and hopefully seeded this time as well. Chaos 2 will now wait to see who they're drawn up against in that semi-final bout. Should be interesting anyway it goes. And that draw has taken place. Chaos 2 will be facing Extremis 2 in tonight's semi-final part 1. Do we look at the paper or do we look at experience? Either way, both have shown absolute determination this series. But less of them in the arena for the House Robots. He was kicked out of Alcoholics Anonymous for attacking everybody in there. It's Shunt. Is that a true story? I'll tell you who'd know. Dead Metal. Apparently it's a rather sore subject though. Sore, get it? No? Okay. It's a real game of rock, paper, scissors with these weapons. Can Flipper beat Spinner? Or will Spinner defeat Flipper?
3, 2, 1. Activate!
So here we go. This is for a place in the grand final, and Chaos 2 already off to an awesome start, flipping Extremis 2 out of the way, but Extremis 2 replying with a spin up and hit, and then Chaos 2, it's like a texting, isn't it? They're texting back and forth. I'll flip you, you spin at me, and you wouldn't believe that this was for a place in that grand final, or perhaps you would say that both of them are showing how strong they could be. Both of them attacking each other. Extremis 2 takes a little bit longer to spin up than Chaos 2 does to get it underneath and flip, but Extremis 2 have Chaos 2 pinned in a corner now and are pushing and are shoving onto the floor flipper. There goes Chaos 2 through the air but landing well. Back onto their wheels. Extremis getting flipped once again by Chaos 2 into Shunt CPZ. Extremis 2 has enough armour to deal with that. You can still see the holes made by Razor in that previous fight in their redemption round, or was it the semi-final round in fact? Yes, I think it was. There goes some damage from Chaos 2. Lovely bit of filler from me, but the action started to pick up. Extremis 2 hitting Chaos 2, and now Extremis has a push on it. Chaos, and I'm struggling to work out which 2 is 2. Chaos 2 caught on the spikes, and you can just see that flipper being batted up and down, much like that Thermidor fight that we had earlier in the series as well. Some lovely callbacks, another flip from Chaos 2, and again it's very back and forth between these two robots. Extremis every now and again has a good attack. Chaos 2 takes a while to reply but does so, and it's sort of slowing down now. Have you noticed Chaos 2? It's sort of slowing, it's sort of not really moving as well, and it's on its side. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but Extremis 2 have Chaos 2 on their side and are now hitting the weaker underbelly of Chaos 2. Now in underneath, pushing them all around and going for that pit release button. There goes the pit. Oh, and Extremis 2 want this done. They're pushing Chaos 2. How did they manage to survive that? We've not seen that sort of action from Chaos 2 since their fight against Wild Thing back in the original series of Robot Wars. Extremis hitting Chaos 2 into the Dead Metal CPZ. Is there much life from Chaos 2? They don't seem overly mobile unless Extremis 2 is pushing them. I don't think there's any life in Chaos 2. I think that last spinner hit has them stymie, and there they go into the pit, and Extremis 2 is our first grand finalist. Well done to them. Unlucky Chaos 2. They put up a decent fight, but in the end, they didn't quite make it. Well, what a fight that was. Once again, the semi-final round proving a real back and forth between two excellent robots, and these two did not disappoint. Extremis 2 almost on top throughout, except for when they weren't. And I know That's an easy thing to say in hindsight. How Chaos 2 survived that? They've got some sort of super wheels or something that managed just to grip on anything, even mid-air, but unfortunately those super tyres weren't working in the end. Extremist 2 definitely weren't expecting to reach this stage after their 5-robot rumble, but they've made it. Now we turn to our final semi-final match for this series. It's between Byte Force and Shadowcat. Both matched well on weight, both matched well on top speed, but could Byte Force's previous championship run defeat Shadowcat? We'll find out in just a moment. Meanwhile, in the arena for the House Robots, we have Matilda and Sir Killalot. These two machines are very similar. Shadowcat's lifter, Byte Force, very similar as well with their grappler design. Who has the lower ground clearance, I wonder?
3, 2, 1. Activate.
This for a place in the grand final. Shadowcat already with a good push in on Byte Force and already going to that arena button, and it's Rogue House Robot. Shadowcat not wasting any time to get in an attack there on Byte Force, and one from the heaviest of our House Robots. Shadowcat pushing once again on Byte Force behind, but flipped on the floor flipper. Now they'll have to self-right. They're not using CO2, remember, it's all electronically powered, much like Shadowcat's. So, will we see any lack in power from that lifter? No, I'm not sure we will. Caught on the spikes though and turned over. Now self-righting straight onto Matilda, who has flipped Byte Force away, and the spikes have gone off again, and Byte Force cannot catch a break, and in fact Matilda looks to be coming in and flipping once again. There they go, Byte Force back into the main fight. Now what will happen as Shadowcat pushes in? I wonder why we hadn't changed camera. That's because Shadowcat was busy preparing the next push on Byte Force. Now Byte Force tracked machine, very fast for a track machine, but a track machine all the same, so they can get down from their tricky positions propped up against the sidewall. It's a little bit more difficult, but it is possible for them. Flipped once again, but managing to self-right once again. Shadowcat getting in underneath, so I think they have the lower ground clearance. Both flipped on the floor flipper. Shadowcat not landing very well and not self-righting very well either. That could be telling for later in this fight. Byte Force trying to get a lift in and trying to get that out of the arena. They've not managed it yet this series. They're just trying a lovely suplex from them, and I was looking forward to seeing one of them, and turned once again Shadowcat back onto their wheels, but flipping Byte Force. So is that the thanks you get for righting your opponent? I wouldn't bother in the future, Byte Force, but they're getting an attack from Matilda's rear end, both robots there, and Matilda getting stuck under the sidewall, a continued issue with her, and somebody will have to do something about that, or maybe they just won't bother because it seems like too much hard work. Byte Force self-righting once again, and those tracks coming in very useful to get them down off the sidewall, but Shadowcat straight back on a push using the side of their robot, all wedge, no flat surfaces. They have wedges on every side, the front, the back, and Byte Force knows it. Shadowcat's trying to get in once again underneath and pushing back into Matilda's CPZ, and now they drive away, and Matilda sorting herself out as Byte Force comes in behind Shadowcat, who is flipped on the floor flipper. Shadowcat cannot self-right at this point in time because Byte Force is all over them like a rash until that moment where the floor flipper went off once again and Byte Force went sailing through the air. Shadowcat now almost eating Byte Force using that front lifter. Now that's not going to be good for weapon motors. The pit has been released, and can Byte Force get that final push?
Cease.
No, there is cease, and it goes to the judges. Well, I can see only one course of action for the judges. Byte Force struggled throughout this fight. They were flipped all around by the floor flipper, by the spikes, by Matilda, by the spikes again, by Matilda again. It really was not that great for Byte Force, and their opponent Shadowcat dominated in between times. I feel as though Byte Force had this one opportunity to get rid of Shadowcat, and unfortunately they've still not managed that out of the arena, and that could cost them in this fight. So the judges' result is in, and the robots competing in tonight's grand final will be Shadowcat. Unlucky Byte Force, they will have to wait until next year to try and have a go at the title. But we now turn to our grand final match, where Shadowcat will be taking on Extremist 2. Both of these robots doing so much better than their first appearances in the pilots. Shadowcat out in the first round, Extremis 2 out in the semi-finals. A massive improvement over their first appearances, I think you'll agree. In the arena for the House Robots in this final matchup is Shunt and Sir Killalot. This is it. All or nothing. Glory awaits to the end of these 3 minutes.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
What a series it's been. It's all been leading to this. Shadowcat in with the first little flick up on Extremis 2 and another Extremis 2 just trailing along for the ride at this point. Shadowcat pushing them wherever they want in the arena, pushing them up against the side wall and going for that arena tyre, and it's Rogue House Robots. Here comes Sir Killalot to attack Extremis 2, who is completely defenseless at this point in time, being driven around, and Sir Killalot is going for a spin fling, and there we go. Extremis 2 are now on their back, and Shadowcat is coming in for another push. And what are they trying to succeed at doing here? Pushing Extremis out of the arena perhaps, trying to tornado it, have them in a grip, biting down on them with that flipper. They've been flipped on the floor flipper now, and being pushed once again into that CPZ, and now up against the side wall. Shadowcat trying to get a lift in. Oh, they're so close! They're so close! Oh, so very, very close to getting an out of the arena, and a suplex there from Shadowcat, taking lessons from Bite Force, their last opponent. But Extremis now righted and coming in for an attack, and they have some grounds to catch up. A good jab there from Extremis 2, just smacking that side, but Shadowcat claim they are the ultimate spinner killer. We saw it in their heat up against Ironside. Extremis very nearly flipped up and over on the floor flipper there, but landed the right way up happily for them. Good slam on the sidewall from Shadowcat there, now pushing Extremis back into the CPZ. That's where Sir Killalot is, and driving back in Extremis. I'd have driven out of there faster than you can say. That House Robot has me in a death grip. Extremis 2 spinning up, stuck on the flame pit, but can they escape from there? Yes, they can. Shadowcat now in with another push and another slam on the side wall, but their lifter was raised. That may have damaged some weaponry inside of Shadowcat's lifting mechanism. No, it seems okay maybe. Shunt coming in for an attack, pushing, shoveling and barging Extremis out of the way, and now the axe coming down from Shunt. There's the floor spikes, and it's going to take some incredible driving to get out of there, but Extremis have managed it, as we knew they probably would. Shadowcat now pushing Extremis, and they have them up against the arena side wall, trying to spin, sort of falling there. Extremis being hoisted up by Shadowcat and caught on the side wall. Another opportunity for Shadowcat, and they've taken it! Shadowcat have taken the win and are the Grand Slam champions for Series 1. What are you doing? Don't go after the House Robot, Sir Killalot. Sort him out, and have you bitten off more than you can chew? You have become cocky in your victory, and I do believe it's time that you were punished for that cockiness. So, Sir Killalot, I don't believe this Shadowcat fella has been in the pit yet this series. Do you think you can sort it out for us? Yes, there we go. No arena time needing pressing. The House Robots have complete control of that whole situation. Or maybe they don't, Sir Killalot. They're reversing almost into the pit. We need new House Robots. Series 2, anyone? I'm thinking perhaps a couple. Shadowcat in the pit, but the winners, I think, are the House Robots. Well done to them. Well done. We love a bit of fun at the end of the fight, but the content of the fight was what mattered. Extremis 2 didn't really perform all that well, spent a lot of the fight upside down. They did get flipped a couple of times back over onto their wheels, but it wasn't enough to stop the mighty lifting power of Shadowcat, who by the end of it looked like an advert for the world's strongest bot. Real good power, really good effort from both machines, but Shadowcat, look at the strength of that lifter, just dropping Extremis into the perfect position and flipping them out of the arena. Fantastic that they finally managed it, and at such a crucial time. Well done, Team Shadowcat. You are the Grand Slam Series 1 champions, and here is your award, presented by all 4 of our house robots. Truly worthy winners, looking a little bit worse for wear by the end of the series, but Shadowcat, congratulations, you are the champions. What a series it's been, thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you again sometime soon for the Grand Slam.